Hello. So today we're going to talk about variables within Python, right? So a little bit of context before we run into this topic. Variables are essentially stored data, right? Variable names represent the title of the data we're going to store in the computer memory, and that's essentially what it is in simple terms. And there's some ground rules when creating a variable name. One of the first rules is using an underscore to represent a space for a variable title. So here we see that Python does not allow a space between a variable name, right? We also see that when creating a title for a variable, we cannot start with a number, and we can't use special keys. So actually, special keys are not permitted to be used in Python at all, and numbers can be used just as long as they're not in the beginning, right, of the title. So that's a quick breakthrough with the variables and the rules you should follow. And now we're gonna run this piece of code to use to display a variable and a string together, right? So here we see that it's displayed the same, right? Why is that? So there's two methods when it comes to displaying two different data types, right? Because this is a string data type, and this is a integer data type. So we can use a comma. When we use a comma, we don't have to specify the this variable because it's as an integer, as you can see. We don't have to specify it as a string to display it. We just use a comma. And the good thing about this is it represents a space. Let me see if I can write this individually. It represents a space between is and 10 because these are the two objects. His favorite number is and 10, right? These are two different things. It automatically represents a space when you use a comma, right? That's good for some scenarios. There are scenarios where you might want to have is 10, right? Together or any objects together, right? Without a space. In the scenarios like this, we can use the set function, built-in function within Python. The set function just really specifies the space between the objects you want to concatenate and then um, display. Well, I actually meant the specified um, number or letters or the keys you want to use to space out or you know separate these two objects. So here we're going to specify nothing, and we see there's no space between is and 10. So that's how you can go about separating stuff when you use a comma, right, to display different objects for Python. So that's one way. Another way is using the plus sign to concatenate and then display. Um, the thing about this is you do have to specify the variables that is not a string as a string. You need to specify it so that way it can then add two strings together and then print that. And we see that this works perfectly fine as intended, right? So that's the main difference when printing two stuff or two objects that are not in the same, that are not both of that both not strings, right? So yeah, thank you. Colin, do you have any questions? And I can make a video on that.